Do 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 do
Spiritual sex and candy, yeah. Hello.
Hello, gorgeous beings. Welcome to Spiritual Sex and Candy. I'm Heather, your Shamanic Sweetener, and my amazing co host, JP Adkins, our Freedom Jedi. What's up, JP?
Hey, Heather. It's so nice to see you.
It's so
Feels
nice
like
to be seen.
it seems like it's been forever since we've talked, but we talked this morning.
We talk every day. We
Yeah.
do. We do. Can you, we're on episode 3, and we're both a little freaked out about this subject today. We have both talked about this. This is a very vulnerable subject, which, of course, that's what we're here to do, is talk about all the things no one wants to talk about. It says it in the name, right?
Mhm.
We're here to talk about spirituality and the divine and dirty part of it, right? So today's booty calls and blasphemy. We are going to talk about reclaiming our sexuality in a hookup culture. And that gives me
Ooh.
I have I just got the goosebumps over my entire body, the goosebumps, right?
Yeah, it's a big subject because we are in such a hookup culture and it's such so ingrained in
Yeah,
us. Our parents, not
right.
were the free love generation, and they've fought really hard to get this free love idea out, and we kind of ran with it, and we kind of
Boy, did
continued it, and
because we are
now,
the feral generation,
right, and we're
right? Because
feral.
our parents were the free to love, and they were like, we want to teach our children that that is exactly what it is. At least my parents were very much like that. Like my parents, yeah, my dad was the biker, hippie kind of guy that, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. By the way, if you're tuning in for the first time, we're going to stop right here and put the disclaimer in. Please do not listen to us in a car with your children. We are in no way appropriate. This is mature material. We talk about it all. So if you've gotten this far and you haven't figured that out, then let's just stop you right now
Yeah,
before we jump into things.
we're the friends that you don't put on speakerphone.
We are the French. Yes, we are the French. Which is funny because we both talk to each other on speakerphone all the time.
Yeah, yeah, you know, but we also are surrounded by we don't have children,
Yeah,
obviously, so there's no
right,
children in the house. There's no, and if someone happens to walk by that is
right.
random, fuck them.
Yes, yeah, yeah, that is very true, very true.
We just include them. It's,
We do
embarrass
just
them
include
if we
them.
can.
Yeah,
It's more fun that way,
it
especially
is.
my niece. I have a 17-year-old niece, guys, and she's I'm I'm open with them. I have the conversations. If anyone's going to have the conversation in our family, it's gotta be me.
Right.
They can come and
Yeah,
sit with they can have that conversation, they can tell me whatever's going on. I pretty much know, especially with the girls, I can tell you when they've had sex, like, I can see the change in their body. It's weird. I knew when my sister did, I knew when her daughter did. It's like one of those things that I can tell the difference.
yeah, it's a
And
different energy. Yeah, it is a
well,
different energy for sure.
yeah, it's a different, and your hips change.
Yeah.
I mean, I know this all, and it's subtle stuff, and it's crazy, and it's stupid, but it's what happens. And so, I'm the one that people have conversation with because I'm just open about it. I'm like,
You're the
"Whatever,"
open one.
and if you ask me the question, I'm gonna give you the answer, so you wanna make sure that you ask the right question that you wanna know, right?
Right, right. And of course, if you're going to have these conversations with your children, make it age appropriate, of course.
Yeah.
Like we want to put that disclaimer out there because, um, y- you know, I, I always had to, with my medical background. So if you're listening for the first time, I spent almost 25 years in the medical field. I was a medical assistant. I worked in a bunch of different offices. I taught it, so like, I'm an expert in that field. And so I was always very anatomical. I was always with my daughter and even my bonus children. If they came to me and wanted to talk to me about things, like I always had an open door policy for all of them. I still do. I know way more about my kids' sex lives than most parents do, to be honest. Uh, Part of that is no slut shaming, right? And so they are comfortable coming to talk to me because there's no judgment here. And what they do, how they do it, I don't have any judgment. But I also very age appropriately. So I was always, this is what happens. This is how things are. This is physically, this is what's going to happen to your body. So mine was always very technical, medical, and but it was always age appropriate. I mean,
Yeah.
my biological daughter asked me one time, where do babies come from? And I said, now we called it a nunu. We did have a neutral name for it, for the pleasure portal, as I like to refer to mine now. Because it definitely is. We referred to it as a nunu when she was growing up, and I said, you came out of my nunu, because I don't believe in lying to your children about things like that. But then every person that we ran and came in contact with, she had to tell where she came from.
Yeah. Yeah. See, I don't deal with children. There's actually a joke in my family that I won't even talk to a kid until they're 12.
Oh, there you go.
Because number one, they can't. No, I don't like children. Um, my my one nephew, my adopted nephew, my sister adopted the kid I was going to adopt. Um, she was my sister was a foster parent, and she would get the babies, like 3 days old babies.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
and she had this one from that, like he was 3 days old, and out of the hospital to her. So, and he was the sweetest little kid up until like a year ago. Um, and now he's a demon child that like literally getting like kicked out of school
Oh, wow.
and kindergarten. So I dodged a bullet, but yeah, but I would hurt children. I realized that I don't have the patience for young kids. So about 12, when they start having
Which
some
is
sense,
why you're gay.
I'm gay. I chose not to
Yeah,
do kids
yeah,
actively over and over again.
right.
Like there's been a few opportunities. That was just the latest one and the one I almost took. Like I really did came very, very, very close. Like to canceling all my RV stuff. This is right after I got the RV, and a really good uh a really good position came up in my city that I was qualified for, and it was gotta be
And
a
you're
little
like,
bit
I
fun.
could just do the parent thing.
I can do the parent thing and be here and
Yeah.
just, do the whole thing, and
It is different when you have your own. I mean, you say that because you're on the outside, and when it is different. It's different, and it's also different. Like with my bonus children and my stepkids, because I wasn't the main one raising them when they were little. You know what I mean? So, I kind of collect them, and I don't mean it like I love, like, I have a special bond with each one of them, but it's because I show them something that they were not, they did not get as they grew, so. But let's jump back on topic of, we're avoiding this topic. We're avoiding this topic.
Did you
We're
notice that too?
avoiding talking truly about, like, hooking up, right? So we live in an age of, how do you meet people online? How many people do we know that have met their partners online? And we have all kinds of apps out there. We don't need to name them. You all know what they are. And a lot of them are based around just hooking up, right? So I mean, there's like specific ones that are known for, if you want a booty call, you you just get on there and find someone. Trust me, it's not hard.
Yeah,
No matter what you look like, by the way, just for the record. It does
true
not matter how you
enough.
look.
And ladies, I'm gonna give you a one that you probably don't know about. Okay, you need to check your browser history if you have a husband or a boyfriend. Check their browser history for sniffies. It's a browser-based one that they can do
Oh,
anonymously. Um, and they don't even have to log in. They don't have to have it. So if they're not cleaning their browser history,
uh,
you will find it. And
I
there are a
have to
lot.
say that with that being said, I had let's just talk about it. I have been the other woman several times. I used to only hook up with married men, not purposely. Like I never set out to do that, but they were super convenient. They were convenient because I could live my life and I could call, and I was like, so I was also the one that, no, you don't love me more than her. No, you don't like, and not that that happened a whole lot, but I would always say the grass is not greener. I get the good times. I get the good times. And I don't deal with you on a day to day. So don't think that what this is that, because it is not. You know what I mean? Um am I proud of that? No. Was it super convenient for me? Absolutely. I mean, it's just a part of who I was. But I was one that was like, don't leave your wife for me, because hey, I'm not going to be with you because you cheated on your wife. Just for the record, like, and I was loyal to them. So like, that's the other part of that is, I I didn't if I was doing you, I wasn't doing anyone else. I didn't have multiple, especially not through, to be honest, for a long time it was through childbearing years, because I was never going to be on
Yeah.
Maury looking for who's your
Mm-hmm.
baby daddy? Like, I'm gonna be able to pinpoint that shit. So I would go, one guy, one bleed. Like that, that way there's no like, well, I hook up with
Maybe.
this dude and 3 days, 3 days later I hooked up with this dude, and I didn't have any of that. I didn't have any of that. But we also grew up in a time where slut shaming was big. I mean, it still goes on. But we grew up, we're Gen Xers. So we grew up in
Yeah.
a time where if you slept with a guy in for females, if you slept with a guy in high school, you were slutty. She spreads her legs.
But if you were a guy in high school and you didn't hook up with a girl, then you
Oh
are
yeah,
then you were, you know,
you're the shit. You are stud muffin. You are a
yeah.
stud, and
Yeah. So, that has changed a
yes,
lot.
quite a
That
bit.
has changed
Yeah,
a lot.
quite a bit.
Yeah. But with that, hookup culture became the norm.
Yeah.
So, and it's really has killed our ability for a lot of different things. It hurts our businesses because we want that instant gratification. We want that instant go. We want that it marriage is down. Um, I don't want to say society is falling apart. Like, but all the things we were worried about may have been a little true.
Well,
So
okay, so let's see. There's a double-edged sword there, right? So, um, right, marriage is down and intimacy is down. We don't, we're not as intimate or open. I think, and at least I am not with someone that I am casually hooking up with. Um, and I've had a couple of one night stands where, I mean, most of the guys I've been with, I knew, or, and stuff. But I had a point where, like, a midlife crisis, I totally get that. Like, when my daughter graduated high school, I just like went crazy. I was like, I raised a human. I guess it was the year before that. I think there was a period where I was on one of the dating sites and I was just like, yeah, I'll go out with you. I didn't hook up with all of them, but
Yeah.
there was a few of them to where, at one point my roommate said, my phone was shut off, like, and I was just waiting for some money or whatever it was, and this dude wanted to like bring me ice cream and chocolates or something. Like he was like, and I was like, dude, I'm not hooking up with you. I don't want to, he's like, just let me spoil you. I was like, sure, whatever. And I was sitting across the street. Like I didn't go anywhere with this guy. I sat in the car across the street from him, but he came home kind of late. Well, I was out of range of our Wi-Fi and my roommate was trying to check on me. And I came in and he threw his credit card at me and he goes, you need to pay your cell phone bill because if I can't get a hold of you, that's not okay. And I was because so in hooking up, I think hooking up is perfectly okay. I don't there's nothing wrong with that. But you have to be safe about it.
You
So,
should be safe. And you have to I think that in order like we talked about, is there such thing as a healthy hookup?
yeah, I think there can be.
There can be, but you have to understand why you're hooking up.
Yes. Yeah.
So the
Yeah.
problem is that so many of us hook up just on we live our lives on autopilot. But when we're talking about hooking up and stuff like that, a lot of times it's to fill a need that is not
Yeah.
out down there, right? Um,
Yeah. Yeah,
and
it is. Yes, for sure.
so when you realize what it is that you're trying to do and why you're trying to fulfill that need, then don't get me wrong, I did last week. This is not slut shaming at all, but I actually
Right.
knew exactly why I did it. I knew what I was doing. I knew what I was getting into. Well, I thought I knew what I was getting into. That ended up being a while that was way beyond
But it
every
was a great
fantasy.
but you had a wonderful, almost
Right.
spiritual
Experience.
experience in that, right? So,
Right.
like, that does
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah. And it was, but it was the longest I spent with somebody probably in 3 years. And I really didn't spend all that long with them. A couple hours.
So, I definitely used it for numbing a lot.
Yeah.
I've had and I've had some casual friends with benefits that, like, I had one that I hooked up with off and on for years. If I was seeing someone and he hit me up, I'd be like, Sorry, I'm seeing someone right now." And he'd go, "Cool, right on." And it didn't matter if it was a year, if it was 2 months, whatever it was, I could always call him and go, "Hey, what you doing?" You know what I mean? And okay, and with the other side of that, him and I had a conversation one of the last times that we hooked up. And I said to him, I was moving out of state and we were talking about that he said, I don't think that there's just one person for everyone. Like I don't think, he's like, I don't think there's just like one person to spend the rest of your life with. And I go, well, I do, but you have to recognize when someone really is loving you and supporting everything you're doing and cares about you. You have to be open to receiving it. And he was like, "Oh," and I said, like, for example, I go, "Do you think I don't have some sort of love for you? Am I in love with you? Do I wanna spend the rest of my life? No. But how long have we been hooking up? Like, of course I have some sort of love for you, or you wouldn't still be coming to my bedroom and seeing me," you know? So, and he was like, "Oh, because I think that's the other side of it is that we don't allow ourselves to love without when our culture still does not accept for me to just say I love you without it being this grand, I want to spend the rest, I'm in love with you. Like you're my partner for life. I want to spend my life with you. That's not what we're talking about. And so, I said to him, I go, "Do you don't think I don't have some love for you?" I go, "And you can't tell me that you don't have some kind of connection with me in some way to still wanna be coming back after of all this time." And he was like, "Oh, I never thought of it that way." I go, "I don't want anything more from you than what we have right now." Like, that's not what I'm saying. But for me to keep bringing you back, you have to acknowledge that there's some sort of,
Connection. Yeah.
connection. Yeah.
I have, so there's two guys. We've talked about this recently. Actually, there's two guys both of them are really great people, like really good people, and I've hooked up with on and off for 8 years now, 7 years now,
Right.
7 or 8 years now, and yeah, there's something there, but no, I don't want to. And one really wants, like, really does want a relationship with me, and would like totally leave Detroit and go wherever I wanted to go, and like do the whole thing, and
He'd
he's
be
such a
down to just do whatever just to be with you.
right, and he's a really nice guy, but he's not. He just doesn't have it. He doesn't have
He doesn't
it,
check all the boxes or enough of them
enough
to
of them, right?
yeah.
And he's good in bed. I'll give him. He is very very good in bed. And nice and sweet and wonderful and you
Right, a
know
great person,
a
just
great
not
person,
right,
just not my person. And one of
right.
these days he's gonna find somebody and it's gonna click and that person is gonna be so fucking lucky, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because really. And then the other one, really sweet, really wonderful, has kind of has this shit together, like more so than most people I know.
Right.
Um, like really, like like has a house, has the whole thing going, as you should
Right.
at this age, and but most of the people I know actually are self-employed, and they have things, but like he's on the other
Right.
end of this kind of thing, and but he's a hoarder, like, and something about that, and he's not that great at it. He has all the right equipment, like should be
But
really good,
needs to be taught.
needs to be taught, and
You don't wanna
I don't
have
have
to.
time to. I don't.
That's funny.
If I'm going to train a trick, it's gonna be new tricks.
Right.
It's gonna be young. I'm gonna train him for someone else. Right. You know what I mean?
I
Like,
always I've actually said that to, like, I get hit on from all age ranges, so when I get on a dating app, it's kind of funny because I get the extreme. I get the young, early 20s to, 60 something.
mhm.
'Cause no one's ever like, they're like, "Is she really that age?" Like, "No, bitch, I'm 48." If I was gonna lie, that's not the age that I would choose to lie about, just for the
Right.
record, you know what I mean? And I've said that before, like, once I hit 40 and people are like, "You are not," and I go, "Well, if I was gonna pick an age to lie about, 45 wouldn't be it." Like, that's not I'm not lying about being 48, you know?
Right.
Which is funny because one of my closest friend goes, "Well, I say that I'm, like, 60 because then people go, 'Damn, you look so good.'" Like, I don't need that. People don't believe that I have a 24-year-old biological daughter, almost
Right.
24, Um, but yeah, so I get them from all ages, and I have literally said, "No, I'm not." First off, if I'm old enough to be your mom, we're not hooking up. So there's the rule there. Um, I just and I will ruin them for other women. They will never ever and I did. I did. I had one. I called him my boy toy. He was really fun. He was another one that I played with for a really long time, and he was a good time. But he would like do anything to hook up with me, and it was nothing more than that. Like again, it was, but I'm like he's like, "It doesn't matter." Like, I will always it didn't matter where he was at or what he was doing or who else he was doing. He always would make time for me, and then I like
I have Thomas. You know, he's married now with a boyfriend, and they have that throuple going, and I could right now go over there. Um,
right.
and me and the boyfriend and him would have fun, and you know,
Yeah, so I it's been 4 years now. When I say that, I'm like, that I'm even saying that. Um, it's been 4 years for me, and the reason is because, I used it for numbing more than anything else, and I had to stop because there were points where I put myself in very unsafe situations, and was not being kind to myself. I wasn't going into it um, with the self-respect that you should go into those situations with. It was purely a physical numbing. I was the dude. I was the one that was, and I say that with no judgment whatsoever, but
Mhm.
I very much had the attitude, when we're done, I'm the one putting my shoes on and leaving.
Yeah,
Like, I'm like, "Thank you, thank you." There was no cuddling, there was no nothing. There was a guy who wanted to hook up with me recently. "I wanna be your friend with benefits." He really was a nice guy, and we probably could have had a really good time together, but, like, we could not just get the timing right on things, and there were certain things, even if we were going to be friends with benefits, that I still wanted out of it, like, okay, we have to do the friends part too. Like, I'm cool with friends with benefits, but that means we get to go have dinner once in a while. We get to kind of date a little bit, knowing that it wasn't going any farther than that, right? Like, that we just enjoyed each other's time and we hooked up and rocked each other's world. And I'm down for that. And he just wanted a booty call. And I was like, I'm looking for just a little bit more than that. Again, I'm not looking to settle down and be together forever, but I want some time first. I want, like, and then he was like, and then he made a comment about, like, getting a hotel room and spending the night, and I go, "Oh, I don't do that." Like, he goes, "Then we could cuddle all night," and I go, I don't cuddle. I don't do that. You could get really good rest in that hotel room after I leave, and you can enjoy yourself in that hotel room. But, um, I'm not spending the night. We're not there yet. Like, you had to.
I you know, I might have cuddled the last one. What I really The problem is that what I really want is the cuddle, and I don't really want the sex right now, and I don't but I'm in a place where I'm not ready for the relationship because I'm not in the right state.
Right, yeah.
So,
Well, I think I'm more in a state now than I've ever been to, like, and it took me a long time, like, when I said, "I'm down to meet someone," I had friends that were like, "Did those words just come out of your mouth?" Like, I didn't know if I would ever hear those words come out of your mouth, right? Because I'm so, like, I love being single. I have no issue being single. I have no issue not hooking up with anyone or hooking up with people, like, and it's not even about that. It's
but I
about, if I'm going to take myself off the market, first off, it's gonna take one hell of a man, because I I wanna be independent and spoiled all at the same time, and I am bratty. I'm bratty. I'm bratty. Jeff
you
knows, out of anyone,
never,
I'm bratty.
never, never. That is not you.
I
You
am
are
bratty.
so compliant and
Yeah,
so
yeah.
agreeable.
Can you tell?
As we almost canceled this podcast yesterday.
We did not.
Kidding. Um, no, I totally get that. And when I started dating Mark last summer, um,
Yeah.
that was a shock to people. Like, you're gonna date someone? Because I said for a long time, I'm not. Uh, that's not something I'm looking for. It's not even saying it out loud now. It's like I'm not really looking for it. Mark fell in my lap, like
Oh,
almost
yeah.
literally.
Oh, I'm not looking for it, by the way, just for the
Yeah,
record, like, I'm not on, and, like, I'm not looking for it. If I meet someone, I am open to receiving that when it presents itself.
I am open to having a beautiful relationship with somebody and a very open relationship. I would love to have somebody I can go on dates with at this point, like go and have some fun. Um, and I know that I'm here for another month.
Yeah,
So
see, like, I would totally be down if I met someone who wanted to go and hang out and have a good time, and if it happens, it happens. I think it's the expectation of, like, this is the end result of it, that at this point in my life, I it's just one of those things that, like, I could give or take it, but there has to be some sort of spiritual energy connection. So before there wasn't, I didn't really care about the energy connection a whole lot.
Mhm.
Um, that part didn't matter to me. I've had some really mediocre sex because of that, because it was just, okay, worship me, fuck me, make me feel good. Okay, thanks. Like, and I would put on my shoes and leave, or I'd be like, are are we like, you can leave now. I had one who finally that, and he was very consistent. Him and we had a really good time. He was probably the like, we were very intimate with each other. Like, we are still very good friends. I I call him and talk to him, about things as well, and because he's like, we hooked up for quite a while when I was in Colorado, and um, but he finally one night, I would always go to his for the most part. I mean, he had been to my house a couple times, but I would go to his apartment. It was quiet. There was no one else there. It was, and stuff. And one night he just looked at me. He goes, "Woman." I go, "What?" And he's like, "Are you ever gonna spend the night?"
No.
I go, "Oh, well, I didn't know we were doing all that." I was like, "I don't know. Yeah, I didn't know we were doing all that. Yeah, I suppose not tonight. I got shit to do in the morning, but I, like, okay, yeah, I suppose that, sure, sure, sure we can,
Yeah, I mean, again, it's about the awareness.
yeah,
I believe, like, if you can really have the awareness of what it is that you're looking for and what it is that you want out of that whole situation. Um, we were talking the other day about one of my straight friends, I found on Twitter doing um, cash doming. So, if
yeah.
for those that don't know what that is that's basically um, doing humiliation things to guys for money, and they're really not even doing anything all that sexual. It's like it I don't get it. I guess I'm not submissive enough. I'm not my self-worth is a little higher. I don't, but I've also had a lot of problems with going into BDSM roles because of the shift I've had in um my energy. So in
Yeah,
my confidence and and what how I help people through some of that stuff, through some of that shame and through some of the things that um
yeah.
a lot of times feeds some of the BDSM stuff really well. So it becomes this like almost icky thing for me. And I don't, and it's not, again, not just slut shaming at all. Trust me, been there, done that.
No, right.
But there's a lot of, I think there's a lot of latent self hatred that is in
Wrapped into
that,
that.
wrapped into that.
Yeah.
And not that, not that everyone is, not that you know what I mean? This is not a blanket statement in any way, shape, form, or fashion, right? So it's these things. And now that I hear people saying some of the things that they say, it's like, oh, that's icky.
That
Like,
goes back to what it is, the reason behind what you're doing, right? So, like, if it's just that it's a kink and you get off on someone tying you up and whooping your ass and degrading you because you're a super control freak and the rest of your life, there's plenty of people out there that do that. That, it's talked about, it's in media all the time of, the CEO of this company wears diapers and it
yeah,
sucks on a titty, whatever, like,
right,
and how shameful that should be. But like, that guy is in control of something so much all the time that it's a release for him to go and, or her. This is not,
right.
again, I'm not picking, I'm just using it as an example. And again, not everybody fucks funny to somebody. So
Mhm.
there's no slut shaming at all. Like, do who you want when you want. I'm down for that. But, and of course there's a release in that. There's a release in releasing that control and not, when you're a control freak, and you have control issues, allowing someone else to fully take control is actually, that's a huge thing. That's a huge,
Yeah.
and for me, so that's one of those things that you and I talk about. We will have a whole episode about kink. Don't worry, you guys. We'll talk about the kink scene for sure.
I am a member of the
But
bondage club.
huh?
I am a member of the bondage club.
There you go.
Stripper
Right,
club.
and
Trust me, there is not a kink
if
that I
you
haven't.
can do a good rope, like the whole suspension from rope thing for me, but that's that freedom. That's that, but you also have to like super trust the person that you're doing that with. And for me, I have never, I had one really good friend that he was into all of that, which was amazing. And he was fun and I trusted him. I had known him for years and it was just that, and it was a beautiful interaction because we both just came from a place of of that. But like I always say whoever ends up with me is going to be one lucky motherfucker because there's lots of things that I would love to do that I just have never met anyone that I trusted enough to be completely open about all the things I want. And part of that is when I was in high school, I went to my senior year in high school, we had the 4th highest pregnancy rate in the nation. And for those of you who don't know, my mom was super sick when I was in high school. So from 15 to 23 when I was 23 when she passed. Um, my sister and I were like, our family were the primary caregivers. And I knew so many girls that were pregnant. There was so much slut shaming around my best friends, people I was with, people who had kids. One of my closest friends, she had one our junior year and one our senior year. Like, she got married the beginning of our senior year. And one of my other really close friends, she was slut shamed so much. She had boyfriend of the week, and it was all very trauma based. It was things that happened to her, and it was all very trauma based thing. But there was so much slut shaming around that I was like, oh, I don't want to be associated with that, right? And I didn't have sex till I was 21, and I've had people like there are guys out there that claim that they've had sex with me that I have not had sex with. People think that I'm like this super overly sexual because I'm very open about, just an open individual about all kinds of things. Which really my body count is not as high as you would think for a woman my age, who was not married. Like I always refer to it as this one time when I was married because um we were together for we were only together 3 months when we got married, and we decided on a Wednesday to get married on a Saturday. And of course after a year I was like, oh, I'm not doing this with you. um this is not going anywhere. This is not building or growing. um but yeah, I mean, like, so I've been slut shamed, and people didn't believe I wasn't having sex before I had sex. Like, no, you're not. You couldn't possibly still be a virgin. And I'm like, yes, I am. And again, like I had one guy who I guess he told people that I was a really good time. If you have a chance to hook up
Yay.
with Heather, she's a really good time. Like she's fantastic. And he happened to say this to a guy that I ended up dating. So there was one guy out of all the married men that I dated that if his situation wasn't different, our situation would have been different. Um, but again, I never encouraged him to leave his situation. We had just had discussions that if the situation was different and he had a very unique situation, I'm going to leave it at that because, this is a public forum and,
and
and
and and
anonymity
and you
for
are in your
people.
you're
Right.
in the town.
Right. Like, if the situation was different, our situation would have been different. But this other individual one time said something about me giving blowjobs, right? Like it was we were all hanging out and he made some comment about, um, what a good blowjob I gave. And I was like, and I didn't even think about it. I whipped around and I go, oh, how would you know? Your dick's never even been close to my mouth. And at the time, I didn't know that he had told this other person this, like, You know what I mean? And the other person was there. So the guy I was dating was like in the, so I said this and he goes, babe, it took everything in me to not just like burst out laughing because you're really good at that. Like, so I know firsthand how good you are, but the fact that you just cut him like to the quick
Right.
so savagely. And the other guy was like, like,
What?
and then I found out from the guy I was dating, he said, he told me if you ever have a chance to hook up with Heather, she's a really good time. And I was like, I wouldn't touch that dude with someone else's pussy. Like, I, ew, ew, no, 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 you know. So I've had several men tell me. So I was slut shamed long before I was ever even doing anything, just because of, again, people that you hang out with. I hung out with very sexual people. I've hung out with people in the BDSM community, the kink community. I was offered to go to clubs all the time, just sit and look beautiful. And then that has an effect on me because I was very objectified for a very long time. And that made a difference as well.
Yeah. It's.
Yeah.
I was always hit on by older men, so I
Yeah, I was hit on by older men as well.
it was
A lot.
always older men for me, and now they were probably, they're probably my age, but when I was 18,
Right, right,
right? So,
right.
and so it's very much a thought in my head when I look at someone that is younger and it's at the bar, like, wait, I, I'm, quite, I'm not gonna be the one to hit on you. Mind
Right.
you, I probably won't be the one to hit on you anyways because I am so awkward in a bar. Um, Put me on an app. One of the things that did help me is that I did learn how to use apps really well, and I have a really funny story about this. Can I share? Um,
Yeah.
so I'm in Mississippi, and I was wearing my human shirt. I just bought it at Walmart. It was on sale, like, and I picked it up for like nothing, and I was wearing it. It was probably the first time I wore it, and I was at the grocery store, right? And one of the workers says, "I really like your shirt." And I'm like, "Thank you," and he was cute, and he was cute. Um, I was happy, and we kind of talked for a second, like, but I'm awkward, so I left. Like, didn't get a number, didn't get anything, didn't do anything. So I'm shopping, and I'm over by the melons at this point. He worked in the deli or something like that, and he came over to me, and said, "Dude, can I get your number? Like, I can't let you leave here without getting your number." I'm like, "Oh, yeah," and got all like stupid, right? I didn't ask any question about what he liked, what he didn't like. This whole thing happened. We're texting. I go pick him up from work, and take him home. Really bad experience. And I realized that I didn't ask questions that I do if I'm online because I would have never hooked up with them because
Yeah, there was no vetting.
there was
There
no
was
vetting.
no, right.
Right. I
Yeah.
got, and it was like, oh, now another one that calls me from Mississippi, like every like 4 or 5 months. When are you coming down? And I'm like, that wasn't even good. Like the good ones, Now in that whole trip, there was one guy when I was on the beach. Mm, yeah, I like one of those moments where everything was just absolutely perfect, hit the right time, right energy, right everything. Like really, really, really great sex. Like writes me like 5 different letters on how great, messages on how great that was, and it really was. It was like both
I
sides
want
of that
some more
was
of
perfect.
those.
Right, right.
I want some more of those. Yeah, yeah. So again, I'm not like against hooking up at all. To be, and because I've thought about that too. I'm like, you know, I'm very quick to say I know that this is not the like who I want to spend ample amounts of time with or even look into the future with. And my friends say I'm picky and I'm okay with that. Um, you know, but I just think now I go into it differently, and therefore my expectations of what I want are differently. Like this guy that we talked for almost a year, and the timing just did not click.
Mhm.
And I think it could have probably been a great experience. It probably could have been because he was spiritually kind of on the same wavelength, but he was so amped to get his hands on me
Mhm.
that it ended up being a turnoff. It ended up being a turnoff because I want to have real conversations. So that for me is I love I'm down to do the hookup, but I want the conversation to go with it. So like I think that's where the like I want to have a great conversation with you. I want to connect with you energetically, and then let's see if we get down. I it was that whole concept of like every time he chatted, he's like, "When you gonna let me in that pussy?" And it's like, dude, I know what you want to do to me. I know what you want to do, and I'm super awkward flirting too. So like, I people think I'm flirting all the time when I am just being nice to myself. If I like you, I'm a fucking idiot. Like I have no game whatsoever. I I become like the mean girl. You know what I mean? Like I I don't know how to act. I'm super awkward. Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing when I start to flirt. And
Yeah,
people do
I
not believe that. They're like, "Come on, Heather, like you are just your energy alone." And I'm like, but and part of that I think is because I get hit on all the time. Like I can't go to the grocery store. My kids will say, my daughter used to, and then my other kids noticed it where she was like, "You're not allowed to say hi. Do not smile at them. No eye contact." Like she started with no eye contact. You are not allowed to make eye contact. And I'm like, it's just I've trained myself to do that. I'm neurospicy. And so
Mhm.
like I was taught, you make eye contact, so even though it's like I'm awkwardly making eye contact with people because of that. And so I smile. I'm a smiler. I pass the smile on and
Well, I worked at the grocery store, so for a while, and I was doing samples. I was a sample boy, okay? Mind you, probably the most money I made, like, per hour ever, and, like, literally, it was a really freaking amazing job, and everyone looked down on like, I had a client later that knew that was local and knew that I did that,
right.
and was like, "What would I learn from you?" Well, number 1, how to actually make money and to be able to take care of everything you're doing on 3 days a week. So, you can start
Right.
there, you know, and there was a whole bunch of stuff. I was taking care of my mom, so I needed a very flexible position, and I got it.
Right.
I found it. It was great. It was amazing. And I was doing alcohol 90% of the time with some food thrown in, you know, and Meyer.
Yeah.
It was amazing, right? Well, people would walk by and they'd be dead, just dead inside. And so I
Yeah.
started really noticing, how dead people were. And once I started noticing how dead they were, I make it a point when I'm in public not to be dead.
Yeah.
Like, show that there's a human there, show that there's something behind the eyes, not be glazed over, not be in my phone, not be in whatever's playing in my ears. And normally there is something playing in my ears. Or I might even be talking to somebody but I
Right.
still am very conscious about that. And I think that's a issue when I'm out too, And there's a couple people, I went out Saturday night. I think we talked about that. I went out Saturday night. One of the people that like is we kind of sort of fooled around one day.
Right.
Um, he was there, and he's one of the people that I probably would fool around with. Like it just the vibe hasn't hit the right vibe hasn't been there. And
Right.
there's something I think there's something about that bar too. Like ultimately, um, but it's like there's a couple that just come on a little too strong. That's what they're looking for, and
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah,
okay,
it's a fine line for me between feeling objectified and um even taking a compliment, you know. But when I go out, I normally do not get hit on when I okay, so if I go to the grocery store, I have men approach me about my tattoos. They, that sort like, that stuff happens all the time. But when I go to the bar, I don't know if I just give off a vibe when I go out someplace that like I am not here for you to hit on me. Please do not. Like, I don't know what it is, but I've gone out with friends where I go, don't worry, we're not gonna get hit on. And I went out with a friend in Colorado and that happened. And I drink double shots of JMO. When I go to the bar, I'm drinking shots of whiskey, like a double of whiskey on the rocks with a Coke backer. I'm chilling, drinking and they know it's whiskey. Like you can tell it's whiskey and 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 then they go, oh, and if they happen to have a conversation, as soon as they find out what I do, and at the time I was an instructor, um, so my friend and I went to the bar. We're like outside smoking, sitting on the patio, hanging out. And she always says, I get hit on everywhere I go. And I go, when I go to the bar, I don't get hit on. Like that's one place that I can go and sit at the bar. And I got up to go to the bathroom. No one came and approached us. We had a great time. I got up and went to the bathroom and stopped and got another shot. I was gone maybe 5 minutes. And I walked back outside and some dude is sitting at the table with her. And she was like, she mouths to me, you left me for you left for 5 minutes. What happened? And I go, give it a minute. He'll leave. And I sit down and we start chatting. He goes, so what do you do? And I was like, I'm an instructor at a college. Oh. Yeah. Oh, what do you teach? Medical assisting. Oh, you teach medical stuff? He's like, no way. And she goes, yeah, I was actually one of her students. Like I had her for a term, or whatever. And he's like, oh. And he goes, I just teach third grade or something, and I
Right.
go, that's admirable because I don't want to teach third grade. You know what I mean?
No
But like
kids.
30 seconds later, like it was not, I wasn't sitting down 5 minutes. And he goes, well, I think I need a drink and go up at the table. And she goes, oh my goodness, but I can't go anywhere else and like without some form of and they want to touch me. So that's the worst part about it, I think, is like they want to touch my tattoos. They want to, I had a guy stalk me through freaking Walmart one time where like everywhere. And I was with my daughter and her friend's baby. They were like 17. I had like two 16, 17-year-old girls and a baby. And this dude, like everywhere we went, it was creepy. And like trying to make comments and interact. And the girls were like, no eye contact, no saying hi, no smiling. The opposite of what like
Right.
look like you're dead inside.
Right. Well, and
Because
I
if
think
you acknowledge them, they want to talk to you. And I'm like, oh,
yeah, I work, so I do, and and I'm the person that people will like say hi to or excuse
yeah.
me or like really like, oh, and I tell people, oh, I like that shirt, or I notice people,
So
and
I do too. So that's the other side of that is I'm always the one that goes, I love it, or I will tell a man, you smell really good. Like if a guy walks past me or looks really nice, I'm like, that is a great tie. You look really nice. And I'm not hitting on them. I am just men need to hear it too, ladies. Men need
right,
to hear it too,
yes, we do, yes, we do,
yeah. Yeah.
we do.
y- you know, um, I don't know how much of hookup culture we really talked about today, but
I
uh,
think we did a lot actually.
I
We
think we did.
and
I think always go into it with knowing and being open and honest. I think the biggest thing is being open and honest about what you're looking for. Are you really looking for a relationship? If you really, really like someone, you need to tell them. Do not ever go into a situation of a booty call or a hookup. Make sure that you're safe. Make sure someone knows where you're going. Always, always, always. Ladies and men, please just make sure that someone knows where you're going. And men, it is not demasculating for your buddy to know you're going to check out a chick because you never know. Yeah, we're fucking crazy bitches. Like there's some crazy fucking bitches out there. And so uh, and vice versa. I do not go out and meet up with a guy. I don't go have a drink. I don't anything without My best friend can track me from Amarillo, by the way. She knows everywhere that I'm at all the time. But then I always let at least 2 or 3 local people know, "Hey, I'm going out. This is what I'm doing. This is where I will be." Um, but also be open and honest about what you're looking for and what you want. And if your feelings in this situation change, you need to be open and honest about that too.
Yeah, and I think that, it doesn't even matter if they're local or not. The fact that you've actually made that contact, it's
Yeah.
trackable.
Yep.
So, if something does happen, it's trackable.
Yeah.
Guy guys, well, here in Michigan, one of the people I actually knew, I actually knew this person, um, was killing people, and, like, we
Wow.
all know him from the bar. He was, like, there, he
Wow.
was a member of the Bondage Club, like, we knew this person. And come to find out he was picking up men who
And
were on the
unaliving
down
them.
load and unaliving them, and
Wow.
it came out later, um, that that's what was happening, and it was scary. This is, like, 4 years ago-ish,
Yeah.
ish,
Yeah, be
because it was
conscious of what you're doing. Be open in communication
yeah.
because you never know who you're going home with.
That's that, so be very safe. The other thing is, know
Yeah.
why you're doing it. Like, know
Yeah.
yourself well enough. If you're numbing, you're numbing. "Okay, I'm numbing. Alright, that's what I'm doing. Okay, cool."
Right. Right.
No judgment any way, shape, form, or fashion. "Hey, I'm not feeling good about myself. Let me go do something." You know what I mean? "Hey, I need a dopamine hit." "Hey," I told somebody, Spen you know him, Spencer. Um, I told Spencer, I'm like, "You hit my dopamine, and I really like seeing your face. So, we're you
Right.
when I see your face, my dopamine spikes, so I'm going to keep using you, okay?" And he laughed about it. He's a straight boy, and he kinda laughed about it and said, "Okay." I'm like, "Alright, cool. And if I say something that's too inappropriate, let me know." And that's
Right.
where our relationship went, and we're still very good friends. So,
Yeah.
just know what is it that you're looking to do? Why are you looking for this hookup? Am I horny? Am I hungry? Go through the list. Am I horny? Am I hungry? Am I not feeling good? Am I not feeling good about myself? Do I need a dopamine hit? Could I could I accomplish this? Can I accomplish this by doing my dishes?
Ooh, yeah.
Okay. When I started asking myself that question, it changed my life. It really did change my life. And get a toy. That's my other thing. Get a toy.
Oh,
So it
yeah. No, there's no shame in that. Like,
no.
that's one of those things, like I said, I've never slut shamed my kids. I'm down for the onlys page if that's what you wanna do. I like
I've been
all the
trying to get my cousin
things,
to
like,
one.
there's no shame. I grew up in Vegas, people. There is no shame in anyone's game. Like, I come from the freak capital of freak capitals. So I've known women to work in every part of the industry, every bit of it, and rock the fuck on because you should own your body and do what you wish with it. And I will back that all day, every day. Also know why you do it. Where is it coming from? Are you being safe about it? Are you coming from a place of lack? Is it something that you're looking for? Or is it about the hustle? Like
Yeah,
that sort of thing. And make sure you're safe about it. That's the biggest thing.
exactly, exactly. And if
And
you see
yes,
my
you can
my
have healthy
pants
hookups. I think you can, as long as you're open and honest about what you're looking for
with yourself,
and with
and
yourself.
it's with you more than anything with the other person. It's with you. Why am I
Yeah.
doing this? What need am I looking for? What am I
Yep.
really trying to do? Am I numbing? Am I Do I need a dopamine hit?
And
Is it the
granted, we're
fun?
not saying don't do it
Right.
if you're numbing using it to numb. Just be
Just know that
safe about it.
right.
Like,
And
acknowledge
know
it.
that right. Acknowledge. Okay, I'm numbing. Okay, cool. All right. I need a numb right now. Okay. I have a lot going on. Hey, healthy. I'd rather you do that than, do a line of coke. You know? And I'm not even hitting the line of coke that's bad. You know, I'm not even
Right.
saying that's but you're hitting the same pleasure sensors.
Yeah.
So, like, really just know, hey, this is what I'm doing. All right, cool. Awesome. That's what I'm doing. Oh, I'm going to play video games. That's another way I do it. I know,
Well,
you know. We are
so
going to have a
Jeff
whole
doesn't know this,
show.
so I'm just gonna say this now, and he can hate me later for this, but that's good. That's what we're gonna talk about next week, actually.
Yeah.
Is
Numbing.
numbing. I think we're gonna talk about different ways that we numb, why we numb, things that lead us to numb. Um, like I knew, like you knew what we were gonna talk about next week, talking about that. Um,
These things, you think I might be, we might be psychic.
I don't know, maybe a little psychic or something that
Right.
you keep claiming that you're not. I'm just saying.
That have we guys, so this is actually a funny story between Heather and I. I always try to deny the energy stuff and all that, and I've been embracing it a lot more, taking this course and going through this course and having this like really crazy experiences, like that
That
last
I've
week
been
I got
telling him are gonna happen for like 2
right
years.
for 2
Just for
years.
the record, I keep saying, like, you need to step into that part of yourself. You need to be open with yourself. You need
Mhm.
to all these conversations that him and I have, I'm like, "Yeah, you need to open up to that part of yourself." And he's like,
I'm not gonna do that. So I've been doing this, and so when we talk about numbing next week, I think that part of that conversation needs to be how to open that up so that you don't have to numb as much.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, of course.
And
I know.
I,
Fucking
and
psychic.
I know, and you know what's really funny though? Heather knows this. So let's do it this way. Heather, what do you have coming out this week?
Oh, what do I have going on this week? Really, I'm like revamping a lot of things. My big focus is going to be really on this podcast. This is my baby. Jeff is along for the ride on this, which I love. Jeff usually is the one that's usually flip flop.
Yeah.
And so really I'm concentrating on creating some merch for you guys so that you can get this amazing logo. We have some shirts that I'm going to create and make.
Oh
They're
my
going to be
goodness.
amazing. I don't want to say too much about it, but there
Can't wait.
there is some things coming within the next couple of weeks. Probably within this next week, we'll probably have 3 or 4 different designs. Um, our logo and then a couple of other things that we've come up with that really go along with what we talk about here. And so, yeah, a lot of concentration on that. And then I'm revamping my own personal as a shaman, that space that I hold for other people and really concentrating on the guiding of people in their journey. For a while, I've concentrated on reading my oracles and doing oracle cards, which I love, but that's not really what I'm about. And so, yeah, so I'm just kind of revamping some things and going inward and where do I, because it is all a journey and a process. So
Mhm.
I'm redoing some things and kind of just figuring out um, where I truly want to put my energy and where my energy needs to go to grow this, to grow us, to grow what we want for the future.
Yeah.
And I say we because uh, d-
We're
we're
not going
stuck with
anywhere.
each other for
Yeah.
forever, and you know
This is
not
not.
that you plan on going anywhere, but this is always going to be my baby. But we have other things that we're doing together as well, and so in order to get us to that point, there's some shifts that I need to make. So that's really what I'm working on right now is myself and how I can show up for all of you guys, all you gorgeous beings out there.
I love it. I love it.
What's
So
going
this
on with
week,
you, Jeff?
May 4th, May the 4th.
Of
Um,
course.
you know what? And
I
I
love
will
it.
tell you guys, it was completely an accident. It really was. I looked for the first Saturday in May, and just so happened it was May the 4th, and I didn't even say it until I started saying it out loud. I'm like,
Right.
it's May the 4th. Of course, I'm gonna do something on May the 4th. If you guys don't know, I am a licensed Jedi cleric. I am also now a certified Reiki, um, Tantric Reiki Master, level 3, and I have my Tantric Practitioner certification. We are doing a brand new Odyssey that on May the 4th that you guys don't want to miss. Like all the things that I've been working on that literally had me feeling like I was on acid for 2 days, we're going to bring here. And we're going to be able to talk about some things that I've never talked about in the ways that I've talked about it. And we're going to be playing with the energy. We're going to be playing with some things to really move you forward and unlock your true awesome life. So you want to check out my socials. It'll be there soon. And of course, the dogs want to go crazy right now.
Of course, because of the energy.
Of course.
It happens.
So that's what I have going on. Yeah, I do have a podcast, the Creative Nomad Show. I do have someone on the podcast next week. I can't remember exactly who it is. But yeah, it's there.
It's on Mondays, right?
On Mondays at noon. On the
At
station.
noon Eastern time. So
Yes,
I
Eastern.
I hate to say this because I'm not even coherent when he's doing
No.
his podcast. If I'm a guest on his podcast, like I have to plan days in advance to be functional because that's 9 in the morning for me.
Yeah, that's why I'm not on Kadada's show. The reason I haven't done Kadada's show is because it's at 7:00 in the morning on a Thursday.
Right.
No.
Right.
No.
That's what happens
I-
when you live in different parts of the universe.
Right. You know. No, she likes 7:00 in the morning. She's a morning person.
She just likes 7:00. No.
So she does a morning show.
Yeah. No. I mean, good for her.
Right.
Good for
I need
her.
meditation time. I need coffee time.
Yeah.
I don't even schedule phone calls until 11:00. Like
Yeah.
10 at the earliest, and 10's like, you really don't want me at this time, but I will show up for you.
Right. And it depends on who it is. Because
Right.
sometimes, like you and I have conversations fairly early for me, but
Right.
I'm coming with no bra and
No bra, no
and
nothing.
right.
Whatever. You have coffee, you have breakfast. Normally I normally eat my breakfast when you wake up.
Yeah.
Get breakfast.
Yeah. All right. Do you have a card? I have a card. Do you have a card?
Oh,
Have you pulled a
I
card?
do. I could do a card.
I have a card, which is like a perfect one for today. So I have my dream ritual oracles out
Ooh.
and immerse came out today. It's time for everyone to immerse themselves in their own life. And it's an interactive experience. Life is an interactive experience, and so many of us have, as you put it, fallen into this default life, right? Of what we think other people need and all of those things. Start immersing yourself in your own life and start interacting with everything in your life. It's a game changer, I promise, because when you become a willing participant in your own life, shit in your life really changes.
Mm-hmm. Oh, truly. Truly, I believe that. Like,
Yeah.
I truly believe that. And mine kind of goes with that.
Of course it does.
Of course it does, because we're gonna have a message. The King of Pentacles. All right, so the King of Pentacles is all about having the knowing in the seat that the money is there, that you know how to control it, that you know how to make it,
Yes.
that you know how all of it just is, and you don't have to chase, you don't have to run. It's not about working harder. It's an inner knowing. It's like a grounded
Yes.
that the money is there. You're the king, and they bring it to you, baby. They bring it to you.
Oh, gosh, I feel like we both needed that, right? That was the
I
message. I think that's a good combination of cards right
Uh-huh.
there. Yeah, yeah, when you chase it, guess what you're doing? You're always going to be chasing it for sure.
Chasing. Yeah. It's a
Uh, I know. We're both just like going, okay,
yeah,
we get
but
it, we get
but
it, we get it. We were just having this conversation last night.
yeah.
You know what? Thank you guys all for coming and listening to us and sharing this space with us. We truly, truly greatly appreciate each and every one of you. Come hang out with us. Drop us a comment once in a while. Let us know what you think. And we love you.
We love you. Oh, I guess I have to do something here.
Yeah, you have to do the thing.
Oh, I was immersed in our conversation.
Everyone here at the True Awesome Network asks you to please subscribe, like, comment, and spread awesome.